There's a foster couple outside, Mr. Batson.
I can take care of myself.
Give these people a chance, because that's what they're giving you.
Billy is a foster kid. He's been in and out of foster homes.
This is Billy Batson.
He's a really good kid who wants the best, who sticks up for the other kid.
Hey! Man, sorry about that.
And because he is pure of heart,
Billy Batson,
he's transported to this wizard
I choose you as champion.
who endows him with this power of Shazam.
Shazam? He has this power of just saying one word and turning into a superhero.
This means Billy!
What is happening? At first, he goes to see his friend, Freddy.
You're the only person I know that knows anything about this Cape Crusader stuff.
What are your superpowers?
Superpowers, dude? I don't even know how to pee in this thing.
You okay? Why are you talking? I feel like any kid who gains the power of being an adult is gonna be like, we should do things that only adults can do. Duh.
That tastes like actual vomit. Shazam is one of very few superhero characters that is genuinely stoked to be a superhero.
Your phone's charged. Your phone's charged.
The hell?
You're like a bad guy, right?
I just get to show up on set and be like, I get to do this? I get to fly around and fight bad guys?
You have bullet immunity!
You're dead.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. So they dropped a whole bunch of new Shazam footage in this big preview, so we'll break it down. There's also news about what's going on with Black Adam and Superman. I've got a whole bunch of questions because they've been talking about post-credit scenes and teasers, special cameos. We'll get to it all. We're still doing that Amazon giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the trailers so far on the video. A lot of the new footage you can tell in the way that they talk about the character is to distinguish him from the other DC movies that have come so far. Like Aquaman was a dramatically different tone, different type of character, different location than any of the other DC movies before. So the next time they roll out an Aquaman movie, they won't have to worry about doing that quite so hard. Like people will understand the concept, like, oh, Atlantis, yeah, we've seen that, we know what that looks like. Shazam is the first magic-based character that we've seen in the DC universe, and it's the first kid that's a superhero, or kid with superpowers for the entire duration of the film. Like, you get a little bit of young Wonder Woman, you get a little bit of young Superman, you even get a little bit of young Aquaman, but Shazam is a little kid from start to finish. He just looks like an adult during different times. Like, they play on a lot of the comedy of like, well, you look like an adult now, so why don't we try to do things that only adults are allowed to do, like buy some beer. So for everybody that was confused by all the weird jump cuts in all the previous trailers where they walk out after stopping the robbery, there's a jump cut and then it's him saying, hey, I'm a superhero, and they all suddenly have bags of candy and chips instead of all the bottles of beer that they initially walked out with. Then in the last trailer, we actually got that beer scene. Your finest beer, please. This special preview gives us some missing footage where they walk out with that beer, take a drink, spit it out, oh, that tastes like vomit. Then obviously they go back in and get all the junk food, and then you get that scene where he says, hey, I'm a superhero. There's a couple new scenes of him testing his powers. You see him shoot lightning bolts out of his finger, and he's really surprised, like, oh my god, I can shoot lightning. Then you see them in the mall, and you find out what they're doing there. Like, they had the funny moment in the previous trailers where he's charging everyone's phones, but this is en route to the ATM machine where he shocks it and a bunch of cash starts flying out. So that's actually a moment right out of Jeff Johns' New 52 Shazam run. It's all stuff that he does really early right after he gets powers, because it's like, wait a minute, we can do anything we want. I have superpowers and I look like an adult. Let's go have some fun. So that also probably leads to him busking in the crowd here for money using his powers. Like, he's shooting lightning bolts, but you see the guitar case on the ground there, like he's asking people for money. This seems like it's right before Dr. Sivana shows up and challenges him, but I think the funnier thing about this scene isn't that he's busking for money in the crowd, it's the idea that a child would think that that's the best way to earn money with superpowers like that. Like, if you were a superhero and you really thought about it, there are way faster ways to earn money with your abilities. We'll circle back around to that idea when we get to the Booster Gold movie eventually. They did actually fast-track a Blue Beetle movie, but I don't know when that's coming, and I don't know if Booster Gold is still supposed to be in it. Because a couple years ago, they started working on a Blue Beetle Booster Gold movie, but now it seems like it's just gonna be a Blue Beetle movie. We get a couple more scenes of him at the Rock of Eternity when he's getting his powers. A lot of you have correctly spotted this flashback in what seems like Dr. Sivana, when he was Billy's age, also a potential candidate to replace the Wizard as the protector of the 7 deadly sins. The director, the producers did a big interview where they talked about Superman, Black Adam, the 7 deadly sins. What they explained is they're essentially using the 7 deadly sins in the movie the same way that the Aquaman movie used the trench. So they're talked about with a great level of caution and fear. Billy's whole role, the reason why the wizard is passing his abilities onto him, is so that he can guard the world against the 7 deadly sins, because they're quite literally called the 7 deadly enemies of man in the comics. It's pride, envy, greed, anger, sloth, gluttony, and lust. So early prediction, Dr. Sivana probably tries to release them the same way that Black Adam did during the New 52 Shazam run. I talked a little bit about what they're changing in the story from the comics. So they're adapting that very first Jeff Johns New 52 Shazam run, but Black Adam was a really big part of that, and they're kind of separating that part of it out to the next big film that they do. Like, there's not going to be a lot of Black Adam going on during the Shazam movie, but Dr. Sivana is a very big part of that story as well. So they're giving some of that Black Adam story to Dr. Sivana, and in the comics, he was technically never a candidate for the powers of Shazam, but the movie is saying that he was. Things went badly, which is also kind of a Black Adam comic book Easter egg, because he got the powers of Shazam about 5,000 years ago, turned evil, went insane, and the wizard never forgave himself until Billy Batson came along. But when the director was asked about a Superman cameo during the film in a Black Adam maybe post-credit scene, they didn't say no, but they kind of talked around it. They're like, well, it's a DC movie, you know, Superman's a really big character. Black Adam is very critical to the canon of the Shazam comics. They also confirmed that there would be a mid-credit scene. They didn't say how many post-credit scenes, but there'll be at least one mid-credit scene. So just based on the way they talked about it, I'm assuming there's some sort of Superman Easter egg towards the end of the film or in that mid-credit scene, and also a Black Adam moment separately. But the Black Adam movie is actually, I think, supposed to start production next year, and the tone is going to be wildly different. If you've ever smelled anything that The Rock has ever cooked in any of his movies, then you have a pretty good idea for what the Black Adam movie is going to be like. It'll be him smashing people for 2 hours straight. I'm also expecting some sort of wink at the Shazam family, because they have the whole Shazam family in the film. The whole concept of family is really important for the Shazam character, and the family itself was really big during that Jeff Johns New 52 run. So it's Freddy Freeman, this is Mary Marvel here, this is Pedro, this is Eugene, and this is Darla. So pretty solid chance that towards the end of the film they get their powers, and then they play with that a little bit more when they get to the inevitable Shazam sequel. The other really big DC news you may have heard is that they announced an Aquaman spin-off called The Trench. It's literally a movie about the trench, just because it was such a big part of the film that they didn't spend a lot of time explaining. They talked about it a lot, and they swam through the trench really quickly a couple times, but that was about it. So they didn't say what kind of characters they're going to use, or whether or not Jason Momoa is going to be a big part of it, or if he's only going to be in a little bit of it, which other main characters they're going to do, or when it's going to come out. They just announced that James Wan is developing it. I don't know if he's going to direct it. Warner Brothers also just hired a writer for Aquaman 2. We don't know what it's going to be about, but I've already done an Aquaman post-credit scene video that I'll link at the end of this, where I talk a little bit about potential sequels, just because it's a really big underwater universe that they just introduced. There's just a lot of potential story areas for them to mine, particularly the Aquaman comics, which actually go pretty deep on mythology. Jason Momoa also said he's going to try and get a Wonder Woman cameo, and her future movies, like Wonder Woman 3 and anything else she does after that, will be set in present day, so it'll be a lot easier for them to logically cross Wonder Woman over with Aquaman stuff. But in terms of crossing Shazam over with other Justice League characters, I think a lot of it just depends on how the Shazam movie does. But I think the idea was, before they sort of postponed future Justice League sequels, is that eventually he would join the Justice League as well. But we're still waiting on that Flash movie. We have Matt Reeves' Batman film. So there's still a lot of other stuff that has to happen before Shazam joins the Justice League. There's a whole bunch of comic book stuff that's happening this week that I'll try to get to as fast as possible. But click here for that Aquaman post-credit scene, and click here for my brand new Captain Marvel trailer and new Avengers Endgame. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.